If we're hungry, we eat, right? Sometimes we might even eat if we're not that hungry. Boredom, emotions, too much temptation. But what if we told you that there are some foods that actually make us feel hungrier? Indeed, certain foods can increase our appetite, which is a problem when trying to maintain a balanced, healthy diet. Here is our list of the top 10 foods that will leave your stomach wanting more. Some of them may surprise you, especially number 9. Number 1. Fat-free salad dressings. These might seem like the holy grail of dressing a salad in a health-conscious way, but to compensate for the lack of fat, food manufacturers often add high levels of sugar and salt. This can leave us feeling hungry again for 2 reasons. First, the sugars will cause a spike in blood glucose levels, which will dip after the sugars have been digested, causing us to feel hungry again. Secondly, we'll feel thirsty due to the salt, and we might confuse this thirst and think we're hungry when we're not. So it could well be better to choose a normal salad dressing and use it sparingly. Number 2. Salty snacks. Studies have shown that the sodium in salty foods triggers a response in the reward center of the brain. The brain then releases the happy neurotransmitter dopamine, and we feel great. But in order to keep dopamine levels high, we crave more salty snacks when we might not even be hungry. Salty snacks are generally low in vitamins, protein, or fiber. Instead, they're usually made with processed white potatoes or refined white flour, which are quickly turned into sugars when we digest them. This leads to a spike in blood sugar levels, followed soon after by a crash. We then feel hungry again, and so the cycle continues. Number 3. Chewing gum. Did you know that digestion actually begins in the mouth? The salivary glands produce saliva, which contains digestive enzymes that begin to break down our food. Chewing gum tricks our mouth into producing more saliva and therefore digestive enzymes. The stomach is then tricked into thinking that food is on its way, and when it doesn't appear, the stomach is expectantly calling up, "Hello, anybody up there?" The brain then thinks, "Hang on, no food, but we're hungry." Cue a rumbling tummy. If you want to freshen your breath, opt for sugar-free mints instead. Number 4. Biscuits and sweets. Biscuits and sweets are absolutely tasty and moreish, but we all know they're not that good for us. This is because they contain very little nutrients and a lot of sugar, which is highly calorific and also happens to be highly addictive. It's no wonder we feel hungry again soon afterwards, as biscuits and sweets contain no filling protein or fiber, the 2 key nutrients that stave off hunger. So we might feel full after a breakfast muffin or a mid-afternoon tea and biscuit session, but it won't last long. Once all that sugar has spiked in the bloodstream and then dipped again, we'll be feeling hungrier quicker than we can say, "Pass the biscuit tin." Number 5. Alcohol. Have you ever had one too many tipples the night before and woken feeling ravenous and craving stodgy, carb-filled junk food? You're not alone. Most of us have been there. It's because when we drink alcohol, our body gets busy trying to break it down and get rid of it. Did you know that when we eat carbohydrates, the body breaks them down into sugars, primarily glucose? We use this glucose for energy and brain function, and the excess is stored as glycogen in the liver and muscles. But since the process of alcohol breakdown uses up glycogen, our reserves can become depleted. And how do we replenish them? By eating carbohydrates. Also, of course, there's that late-night post-pub kebab, because alcohol lowers our inhibitions and makes us make choices that we might not otherwise if we're sober, including making us think we're hungry when we might not be. Number 6. Egg whites. We know, Eggs are full of protein, but if we make our morning omelette or scrambled eggs on toast using just the whites of the eggs, we're missing out on a whole host of beneficial vitamins, minerals, healthy fats, and protein. Eggs have been through a pretty bad rap over the years. However, later studies found that eating eggs, including both the white and the yolk, does not increase our risk of developing heart disease or any of its associated health problems. It's therefore healthier and better to eat the whole egg to keep us full. Be that poached, scrambled, boiled, or in a tasty omelette. Pair your eggs with wholemeal toast and a side of blanched spinach for a balanced breakfast that will keep you going until lunchtime. Number 7. Ketchup. Ketchup, or you might call it tomato sauce. We use it on everything, from a dip for chips and pizza crusts to smothering our sausage or fish finger sandwiches. Sadly though, it's often high in sugar, either from the concentrated tomatoes or added extra sugars. Let's also talk about high fructose corn syrup, which is a type of highly processed sugar and is often found in ketchups and other sauces. It's thought to slow down our metabolism, meaning that we don't always hear those signals that we're full, and we carry on eating even though technically we're not hungry. Number 8. Cheese. Cheese is an odd one on this list of foods that can make us feel hungrier, as it's all down to a quirky fact of evolution. Milk, including human breast milk, contains a protein called casein. When we're born, we're genetically programmed to want this protein so much that we form an opioid response to it. In other words, we're biologically addicted to it. This ensures that we continue to want it so that we stay nourished and healthy as we grow and develop. As adults, most of us retain this desire for milk-based products, including cheese. Cheese contains casomorphins, which are chemically similar to opiates. These casomorphins trigger the release of dopamine from the pleasure and reward center of the brain, meaning that when we eat cheese, we feel so good that we want more, and more, and more. So if you're a cheese addict, you'll know why. Number 9. Rice cakes. Let's face it, there isn't much to a rice cake, is there? It's a little bit like eating polystyrene, and no amount of added flavors will stop that. And that's the problem. Rice cakes are so devoid of any macronutrients or calories that we'd have to eat them by the delivery load to feel full. If we're on a calorie-controlled diet, then there's nothing wrong in eating rice cakes, as they're a great alternative to bread. However, to make them worthwhile and to keep us feeling full, top them with a lean protein source, such as low-fat cottage cheese, tuna, or your favorite nut butter. Number 10. Chinese food. Many takeaways are made using MSGs, or monosodium glutamate. MSG is a type of salt, which explains why we often feel so thirsty after eating Chinese food. But not only that, MSG is thought to interfere with a hormone called leptin. Leptin is responsible for telling us when we're full. It tells the brain when we have enough fat stored, and therefore we don't need to continue eating. But if we consume foods that contain high levels of MSG, this message can be interrupted. We can carry on eating as if we're not full, when actually we are. So try to ignore feeling hungry shortly after your favorite Chinese dish, as it's probably all a trick that your body is playing on you. So there we have it, our list of the top foods that can leave you feeling hungrier than when you started. Did any of them surprise you? Let us know in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this.